Book 6, Canto 9, The Legend of Calidore. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Morgan Scorpion. The Faerie Queene by Edmund Spenser. Book 6, The Legend of Calidore. Canto 9. Calidore hosts with Melibœ, and loves fair pastoral. Corydon envies him, yet he for ill rewards him well. Now turn again, my team, thou jolly swain, back to the furrow which I lately left. I lately left a furrow, one or twain unplowd, the which my coulter hath not cleft, yet seemed the soil both fair and fruitful eft. As I it passed, that were too great a shame, that so rich fruit should be from us bereft, beside the great dishonour and defame, which should befall to Calidores immortal name. Great travell hath the gentle Calidore, and toil endur'd, sith I left him laft, sowing the blatant beast, which I forbore to finish then, for other present haft. Full many paths and perils he hath paft, through hills, through dales, through forrests, and through plaines, in that same quest which fortune on him caft, which he atchieved to his own great gaines, reaping eternal glory of his restless paines. So sharply he the monfter did purfew, that day nor night he suffered him to rest, nor rested he himfelfe, but natures dew, for dread of danger, not to be redreft. If he for flouth forflacked fo famous quest, him firft from court he to the cities courft, and from the cities to the towns him preft, and from the towns into the country forft, and from the country back to private farmes he scourft. From thence into the open fields he fled, whereas the herds were keeping of their neat, and shepherds finging to their flockes that fed layes of fweet love and youths delightfull heat. Him thither eke for all his fearfull threat he followed faft, and chafed him fo nigh, that to the folds, where sheep at night do feat, and to the little cots, where shepherds lie in winters wrathfull time, he forced him to fly. There on a day, as he purfued the chace, he chaunft to spy a fort of shepherd groomes, playing on pipes, and carolling apace. The whiles their beafts there in the budded broomes Befide them fed, and nipt the tender bloomes, for other worldly wealth they cared nought. To whom Sir Calidore yet fweating comes, and them to tell him courteoufly befought, if fuch a beaft they faw, which he had thither brought. They answered him, that no fuch beaft they faw, nor any wicked fiend, that mote offend their happy flockes, nor danger to them draw. But if that fuch there were, as none they kend, they prayd high God him farre from them to fend. Then one of them him feeing fo to fweat, after his rusticke wize, that well he weend, offered him drinke to quench his thirsty heat, and if he hungry were, him offered eke to eat. The knight was nothing nice, where was no need, and tooke their gentle offer, fo adowne they prayd him fit, and gave him for to feed such homely what, as ferves the fimple clowne, that doth despize the dainties of the towne. Tho having fed his fill, he there befide faw a faire damzell, which did weare a crowne of sundry flowers, with filken ribbons tide, yclad in home-made green, that her owne hands had dyed. Upon a little hillock fhe was placed, higher then all the rest, and round about environd with a garland, goodly graced, of lovely lasses, and them all without the lusty shepherd fwaine sat in a rout, the which did pipe and fing her praises dew, and oft rejoice, and oft for wonder shout, as if some miracle of heavenly hew were downe to them descended in that earthly vew. And foothly fure fhe was full faire of face, and perfedly well fhapt in every limbe, which fhe did more augment with modeft grace, and comely carriage of her countenance trim, that all the rest like lesser lampes did dim, who her admiring as some heavenly wight, did for their foveraine goddeffe her efteeme, and carolling her name both day and night, the faireft Pastorella her by name did hight. Ne was there herd, nor was there fhepheard fwaine, But her did honour, and eke many a one Burnt in her love, and with fweet pleafing paine Full many a night for her did figh and groane. But moft of all the fhepheard Coridon For her did languifh, and his deare life fpend. Yet neither fhe for him nor other one Did care a whit, ne any liking lend. Though meane her lot, yet higher did her mind afcend. Her whiles Sir Calidore there viewed well, And markt her rare demeanour, which him feem'd So farre the meane of fhepherds to excell, As that he in his mind her worthy deem'd To be a Princes paragon efteem'd. He was unawares furpriz'd in fubtle bands Of the blind boy, nor thence could be redeem'd By any fkill out of his cruel hands, Caught like the bird, which gazing ftill on others ftands. So stood he ftill, long gazing thereupon, Ne any will had thence to move away, Although his queft was farre afore him gon. But after he had fed, yet did he ftay, And fate there ftill, untill the flying day Was farre forth fpent, difcourfing diverfly Of fundry things as fell to worke delay. And evermore his fpeach he did apply To the herds, but meant them to the damzel's fantafie. By this the moifty night approching faft, Her dewy humour gan on the earth to fhed, That warned the fhepherds to their homes to haft, Their tender flockes now being fully fed, For feare of wetting them before their bed. Then came to them a good old aged Sire, Whofe filver lockes bedeckt his beard and head, With fhepherds hooke in hand, and fit attire, That wilde the damzell rife, the day now did expire. That willed the damzell rife, the day did now expire. He was to weet by common voice efteem'd, The father of the faireft pastoral, And of her felfe in very deed fo deem'd. Yet was not fo, but as old ftories tell, Found her by fortune, which to him befell, In the open fields an infant left alone, And taking up, brought home and nurfed well, As his owne child, for other he had none, That fhe in tradt of time accompted was his owne. She at his bidding meekely did arife, And ftreight unto her little flocke did fare, That all the reft about her rofe likewife, And each his fundry fheepe with feverall care Gathered together, and them homeward bare, Whileft every one with helping hands did ftrive Amongft themfelves, and did their labours fhare, To helpe faire Paflorella home to drive Her fleecy flocke, but Coridon moft helpe did give. But Melibce, fo hight that good old man, Now feeing Calidore left all alone, And night arrived hard at hand, Began him to invite unto his fimple home, Which though it were a cottage clad with lome, And all things therein meane, yet better fo To lodge, then in the falvage fields to rome. The Knight full gladly foone agreed thereto, Being his harts owne wifh, and home with him did go. There he was welcomed of that honeft Sire, And of his aged beldame homely well, Who him befought himfelfe to disattire, And reft himfelfe, till fupper time befell. By which home came the faireft Paftoral, After her flocke fhe in their fold had tide, And fupper ready dight, they to it fell With fmall ado, and nature fatisfide, The which doth little crave contented to abide. Tho when they had their hunger flaked well, And the faire mayd the table ta'en away, The gentle Knight, as he that did excell In courtefie, and well could do and say, For fo great kindnefle as he found that day, Gan greatly thanke his hoft and his good wife, And drawing thence his fpeach another way, Gan highly to commend the happy life, Which fhepherds led, without debate or bitter ftrife. How much, fayd he, more happy is the ftate, In which ye farther here do dwell at eafe, Leading a life fo free and fortunate From all the tempefts of thefe worldly feas, Which tofle the reft in dangerous difeafe. Where warres and wreckes and wicked enmity Do them afflict, which no man can appeafe, That certes I your happinefle envy, And wifh my lot were placed in fuch felicity. Surely, my Sonne, then answered he againe, If happy, then it is in this intent, That having fmall, yet do I not complaine of want, Ne wifh for more to it augment, But do my felfe with that I have content. So taught of nature, which doth little need Of forreign helpes to life due nourifhment, The field's my food, my flocke my raiment breed, no better do I weare, no better do I feed. Therefore I do not any one envy, nor am envied of any one therefore. They that have much, feare much to lose thereby, and store of cares doth follow riches store. The little that I have, growes daily more without my care, but onely to attend it. My lambes do every yeare increase their score, and my flockes father daily doth amend it. What have I, but to prayfe the Almighty, that doth send it? To them that list, the worlds gay fhowes I leave, and to great ones such follies do forgive, which oft through pride do their owne perill weave, and through ambition downe themfelves do drive to fad decay, that might contented live. Me no such cares nor cumbrous thoughts offend, nor once my mindes unmoved quiet grieve, but all the night in silver fleepe I spend, and all the day to what I list I do attend. Sometimes I hunt the fox, the vowed foe unto my lambes, and him dislodge away. Sometimes the fawne I practife from the doe, or from the goat her kid how to convay. Another while I baits and nets difplay, the birds to catch, or fifhes to beguile. And when I weary am, I downe do lay my limbs in every fhade, to reft from toyle, and drink of every brooke, when thirft my throat doth boyle. The time was once, in my firft prime of yeares, when pride of youth forth pricked my defire, that I difdained among mine equal peares to follow fheepe and fhepherds bafe attire. For further fortune then I would enquire, and leaving home to royal court I sought, where I did fell myfelfe for yearly hire, and in the Princes garden daily wrought. There I beheld such vaineneffe, as I never thought. With fight whereof foone cloyd, and long deluded with idle hopes, which them do entertaine, after I had 10 yeares my felfe excluded from native home, and spent my youth in vaine, I gan my follies to my felfe to plaine, and this fweete peace, whofe lacke did then appeare, though backe returning to my fheepe againe, I from thenceforth have learnt to love more deare This lowly quiet life, which I inherit here. Whileft thus he talked, the Knight with greedy eare Hung still upon his melting mouth attent, Whofe fencefull words empierced his heart fo neare, That he was rapt with double ravifhment. But of his fpeach that wrought him great content, And alfo of the object of his vew, On which his hungry eye was alwayes bent, That twixt his pleafing tongue, and her faire hew, He loft himfelfe, and like one half entranced grew. Yet to occafion meanes, to worke his mind, And to insinuate his hearts defire, He thus replide: Now furely, Sire, I find that all this worlds gay fhowes, which we admire, Be but vaine fhadowes to this fafe retire Of life, which here in lowlineffe ye lead, Fearlefle of foes, of fortunes wrackfull ire, Which toffeth ftates, and under foot doth tread The mighty ones, affraid of every chaunges dread. That even I, which daily do behold The glory of the great, mongft whom I wonne, And now have proved, what happineffe ye hold In this fmall plot of your dominion, Now loath great lordfhip and ambition, And wish the heavens fo much had graced me, As graunt me live in like condition, Or that my fortunes might tranfposed be From pitch of higher place, unto this low degree. In vaine, fayd then old Melibce, do men the heavens of their fortunes fault accufe, Sith they know best, what is the best for them, For they to each such fortune do diffufe, As they do know each can most aptly ufe. For not that, which men covet most, is best, Nor that thing worft, which men do most refufe, But fittest is, that all contented rest With that they hold, each hath his fortune in his brest. It is the mind, that maketh good or ill, That maketh wretch or happy, rich or poore. For fome, that hath abundance, as 'tis will, Hath not enough, but wants in greateft ftore. And other, that hath little, asks no more, But in that little is both rich and wife. For wifdom is most riches. Fools therefore they are, which fortunes do by vowes devize, Sith each unto himfelfe his life may fortunize. Since then in each mans felfe, fayd Calidore, It is to fafhion his owne lifes eftate, Give leave a while, good Father, in this fhore To reft my barke, which hath been beaten late With ftormes of fortune and tempeftuous fate, In feas of troubles and of toylefome paine, That whether quite from them for to retreat I fhall refolve, or backe to turne againe, I may here with your felfe fome fmall repofe obtaine. Not that the burden of fo bold a gueft Shall chargefull be, or chaunge to you at all : For your meane food fhall be my daily feaft, And this your cabin both my bowre and hall. Befides for recompence hereof, I fhall you well reward, and golden guerdon give, That may perhaps you better much withal, And in this quiet make you fafer live. So forth he drew much gold, and toward him it drive. But the good man, nought tempted with the offer Of his rich mould, did thruft it farre away, And thus befpake: Sir Knight, your bounteous proffer Be farre from me, to whom ye ill difplay That mucky mafle, the caufe of mens decay, That mote empaire my peace with daungers drid. But if ye algates covet to affay This fimple fort of life, that fhepherds lead, Be it your owne, our rudenefle to your felfe areed. So there that night Sir Calidore did dwell, And long while after, whileft him lift remaine, Daily beholding the faire pastoral, And feeding on the bate of his owne bane. During which time he did her entertaine With all kind courtesies he could invent, And every day her company to gaine. When to the field fhe went, he with her went, So for to quench his fire, he did it more augment. But fhe, that never had acquainted been With fuch quaint ufage, fit for Queenes and Kings, Never had fuch knightly fervice feene, But being bred under bafe fhepherds wings, Had ever learn'd to love the lowly things. Did little whit regard his courteous guize, But cared more for Collins carolings, Then all that he could do, or ever devize. His layes, his loves, his lookes, fhe did them all despize. Which Calidore perceiving, thought it beft To change the matter of his lofty looke, And doffing his bright armes, himfelfe addreft In fhepherds weed, and in his hand he tooke, Inftead of fteelhead fpeare, a fhepherds hooke, That he, who had feene him then, would have bethought On Phrygian Paris by Flexippus brooke, When he the love of faire Oenone fought, What time the golden apple was unto him brought. So being clad, unto the fields he went With the faire Pastorella every day, And kept her fheepe with diligent attent, Watching to drive the ravenous wolfe away. The whileft at pleafure fhe mote fport and play, And every evening helping them to fold. And other whiles for need, he did affay In his ftrong hand their rugged teats to hold, And out of them to prefle the milke, love fo much could. Which feeing Coridon, who her likewife long time had loved, and hoped her love to gaine, He much was troubled at that ftraungers guize, And many jealous thoughts conceived in vaine, That this of all his labour and long paine Should reap the harveft, ere it ripened were. That made him fcowle, and pout, and oft complaine Of Pastorell to all the fhepherds there, That fhe did love a ftranger fwaine then him more deare. And ever when him came in company, Where Calidore was prefent, he would lowre And bite his lip, and even for jealoufie Was ready oft his owne hart to devoure, Impatient of any paramour, Who on the other fide did feeme fo farre From malicing, or grudging his good houre, That all he could, he graced him with her, Ne ever fhewed figne of rancour or of jarre. And oft, when Coridon unto her brought Or little fparrowes ftolen from their neft, Or wanton fquirrels in the woods farre fought, Or other dainty thing for her addreft, He would commend his gift, and make the beft. Yet fhe no whit his prefents did regard, Nor him could find to fancy in her breft. This newcome fhepheard had his market mard, Old love is little worth, when new is more prefard. One day, when as the fhepherds fwaines together Were met, to make their fports and merry glee, As they are wont in faire funfhiny weather, The whiles their flockes in fhadowes fhrowded be, They fell to daunce, then did they all agree, That Colin Clout fhould pipe as one more fit, And Calidore fhould lead the ring, As he that most in Pastorella's grace did fit. Thereat frowned Coridon, and his lip clofely bit. But Calidore, of courteous inclination, Tooke Coridon, and set him in his place, That he fhould lead the daunce, as were his fafhion. For Coridon could daunce and trimly trace. And when as Pastorella him to grace Her flowry garland tooke from her owne head, And plafd on his, he did it foone difplace, And did it put on Coridons inftead. Then Coridon waxed frolique, that erft feemed dead. Another time, when as they did difpose To practife games, and maifteries to try, They for their judge did Pastorella chofe, A garland was the meede of vidtory. There Coridon forth ftepping openly, Did challenge Calidore to wreftling game. For he through long and perfect induftry Therein well praftifd was, and in the fame Thought fure to avenge his grudge, and worke his foe great fhame. But Calidore he greatly did miftake, For he was ftrong and mightily ftiffe pight, That with one fall his necke he almoft brake. And had he not upon him fallen light, His deareft joynt he fure had broken quight. Then was the oaken crowne by Pastoral Given to Calidore, as his due right. But he, that did in courtefie excell, Gave it to Coridon, and faid he won it well. Thus did the gentle Knight himfelfe forbeare Among that rufticke rout in all his deedes, That even they, the which his rivals were, Could not maligne him, but commend him needes. For courtefie among the rudeft breedes Good will and favour. So it furely wrought with this faire Mayd, and in her mind the feedes Of perfect love did fow, that laft forth brought The fruit of joy and blifle, though long time dearely bought. Thus Calidore continued there long time To win the love of the faire Pastorell, Which having got, he ufed without crime Or blamefull blot, but managed fo well, That he of all the reft, which there did dwell, Was favoured, and to her grace commended. But what ftrange fortunes unto him befell, Ere he attained the point by him intended, Shall more conveniently in other place be ended. Canto IX. Book VI. The Legend of Calidore.